Good evening, afternoon, everybody. Um, okay, so it's been 2 weeks. I skipped last Thursday because I was crunched. So my work is crunch right now. It's actually cooled off today, which is why I've been doing this video during my lunch hour. Um, Basically, what's happened is we've been playing catch up. Well, the tech art team is playing catch up because they make their tools, but the tools basically have to be fixed for every shot in the movie. So every movie kind of has like these truncated scenes that it's broken up into asset wise. And the result is that the tool needs to be basically fixed for every scene. And so what we're getting is we tech art fixes the tool, we use it, we do the scene, tech art moves to the next scene, and then we like go through it and we go, everything's broken, here's what you need to fix, and then they fix it, and then we finish the scene. And so it's kind of like we go in, we bug fit, we alpha test the tool, then they bug fix the tool, then we finish the shot. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And so right now I'm just in my bug fixing portion of what I need to do today, or my alpha testing portion of what I need to do today, where I'm just like, yeah, everything's broken. Here's what's broken. Go deal with it. Good luck. Um, that's my job right now. I also seem to be having a stuff planned for me after October 10th, which I think is 7 days after my contract ends. So I have no idea what that means. I don't recall my contract going beyond October 3rd, which is weird. I might be getting re-upped. I don't fucking know. It could be very weird. That could, and honestly, sure, fine, cool. Uh, I could go either way on this. Like, stable work is really nice because when I'm out in the fucking wilds, it's like kind of terrifying to sit there and just go like 3 months without a job while you're looking for jobs into the nightmare industry where everything's kind of going to shit right now, but it's kind of on its way back, especially now that studios are coming to Canada, especially movie studios. So who knows? But I mean, it definitely helps not having to have a panic attack at like 2 a.m. because you're sitting there going, oh fuck, I need to plan my next 3 months and budget out my savings and so like yeah, it, work is cool right now, and I'll be cool if it keeps being cool. Um, Especially because if I have work, I have money, which means I can fix my broken sword. So, this is a sword. This is the blade. This is the tang. The tang, you can see, doesn't have a little tip on the end. You might recall from some older videos that my sword is a peened sword. Ha ha he he. And that means that this little tip here is supposed to be shaped like a mushroom on top of the cap here of the pommel. It is not. This is because on Wednesday, earlier this last week, my tang broke here. And I passed it off. I was actually just hanging out and I was doing my thing. I was just kind of fucking sad about it because if the tang breaks there, I basically need a new sword. I'm SOL. But what happened was I went over to one room over to the archery section because somebody said to go there and talk to Catherine. And I was like, hey, Catherine, what do you know about this? And she's just like, yeah, I'm a metal fab. So I'll take it to like my classes and just see what's going on. And 3 days later, the chunk that was broken off here is back on. And when they were talking about it, they were like, yeah, there was an air bubble. And I'm like, well, shit. I literally can't blame that on the Fraser Valley Forge guy. That's on Windlass. Windlass gave me a shitty sword. That's fucked, man. So my sword got fixed, and then it broke again on Monday this week. Because what happened was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. So they handed it to me. They said, hey, it's fixed. Go take it for a ride. And I was like, okie dokie. And I get about 6 swings in before I am swinging, and this happens. And my sword goes flying across the room into the coat rack. The result was me going, oh shit, and nobody noticing, which was really lucky because everybody was in longsword class that time and didn't notice the flying sword across the room. which was pretty lucky that I just happened to swing it into a safe place, because I was swinging pretty hard because I was doing flow, which is just, the act of keeping the blade in motion while you're cutting. It's a practice exercise. Anyway, it broke off because, we suspect, it was tack welded on the end. So there was a little, cap here that was just kind of keeping everything in place, and that is not strong enough for a sword. You cannot tack weld the end of a sword. You can kind of barely get away with welding a sword. A sword typically has to be one chunk of metal, and the fact that this is welded back on and all could be a problem in the future, so who knows, but as it is right now, you cannot tack weld the end of a sword. And the reason is because it will just fail and explode. So, I'm not shit out of luck though. I don't necessarily need a new sword, because I can shorten the sword by about this much, and I will have enough for the peening of the pommel, which means all I have to do is reduce the guard a little bit, just a smidge, like half a centimeter, and then I should be good with a sword. And yes, I will lose some of my guard and grip, but half a centimeter is manageable losses at this rate. And eventually, if that peening breaks or whatever, or something goes horribly wrong again, then yeah, I will have to get a new sword. Maybe I could... anyway, I'll have to get a new sword, which won't be a big deal. Won't be catastrophic. I can... And, I'll eventually have to look at a fitter, and I'll have to hang up this bad boy, my darling Bosworth, to retire her. But, for now, I can fix her. Red flags. That is my sword shit. That's my sword exploding. My sword shit's going pretty good. So I got private lessons from my teacher, Ben, who is probably the 270th best fencer on Earth, according to Chess ELO ratings for fencing. We have an ELO rating system, and this was about 2 weeks ago. Maybe, I can't remember. Maybe 1 week ago. It was before PAX. And I got focused feedback that was down to minutia. It was literally shit like, oh, you're guarding here? Don't go here. Go here. And I'm like, that was it? That was the difference? That was the difference. And so I got a bunch of small things like that were just refinements to my overall fencing that have made my life a lot better, because I was kind of spinning my wheels for a month straight. Even longer, actually, because I just couldn't get the focused feedback that I required. It was all very vague. It was like, do this, do that. And that sucked. That didn't get me anywhere, and it was pretty fucking annoying. But now that I'm getting good feedback from my teacher in a focused setting, designed specifically for me, I could actually start to focus on things that will improve me. And so my next exam is in October 18th, so I've got a little over a month, and I'm going to do another private lesson, and then I'm going to really start plugging through my assessments. And I think from there, I might be good. And that's a good sign. I've been fencing at full speed 3 times a week, basically, for the last, year. And I'm still green cord. My contemporaries, who started roughly at the same time to me, made it to blue. And it's like, oh shit, am I just bad? Am I just not doing things properly? And the answer is no, not really. I'm still able to compete with my contemporaries who are a rank above me, who are learning new shit and they're trying new things, but I'm still engaging with them and causing them to think and puzzle. And the theory and the meta, the brain part of the fencing is not preventing me from engaging with them and properly fencing with them in fun ways, which is a good thing. That means, one, we all still have things to improve on at the green cord level, and two, I am probably still learning things beyond green cord just by continuing to fence with people my skill level. Last week, I was fencing with my friend Jeremy, who I fence with basically every time we kit up, and Jeremy kind of has my fucking number. He knows we know each other really, really well in terms of the fencing game, and yeah, we have it's not a rivalry. We're buddies. We're fencing buddies because we're learning together and we're learning off each other really well, and we do very different things. and I got a compliment from him that was really, really big. And it was just that I am getting a lot harder to fence, which is huge. When somebody your skill level and that you've been like learning with for this long says something like you're just more difficult to fight, that means you're locking down the basics. And that means the thing that I was talking about months ago, the quote unquote becoming a wall thing, that's actually starting to really happen now. And it's starting to happen. I've already become a wall defensively. It's the offensive part of becoming a wall that's very difficult, which is what I was having trouble with, which is what I'm learning now thanks to private lessons. And the offensive part of becoming a wall is just punish game in terms of video game shit. It's properly defending and making sure your defenses are leading into offenses. And that's really difficult. And the other part of it is properly approaching defensively and then taking the opportunities or creating the opportunities to be offensive. Because if I'm just walking forward and protecting myself the whole time, I'm not actually creating any threat, even though I'm in a threatening position. And I need to take these threatening positions and actually strike or something. The result is I am starting to do that now, and I'm starting to get situations where I am like approaching almost in a belligerent manner and getting hits and defeating people's and offenses by just properly hitting them. And one of the hardest things that I'm struggling with right now, which is something that I got feedback for, which is helping me a lot, is I have a tendency. Let's see if I can get the angle on this. I have a tendency to... I need to move the fucking table. Stay tuned, y'all. So I have a tendency to approach quite wide, and I will defend quite wide. You can see my tip is going out almost outside of my body, right? My tip is like over here. This is bad. I want to be like here. I want to be threatening you with the tip of the sword. But because the defense is like this, and I'm staying very far out, if I thrust, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't hit anything. And so the problem is I am angling just the entire blade wrong in the offensive portion of this, where I need to defend and then transition to this and then lead that into an attack. And that like really small transition is really important in terms of just properly threatening the opponent. Because if you're not doing that, you're not doing anything. Anyway. So I went to PAX with Miguel. PAX fucking slapped. There was a couple of really good panels. We got to go to the Capcom panel. The Capcom panel was a bunch of Monster Hunter footage where me and Miguel were just kind of shooting the shit loudly in the crowd, talking mad shit while Ryoza Tsujimoto, the producer of Monster Hunter, who basically made the whole thing happen, is sitting there talking about the updates to the game and everything. And we're like watching a dev just kind of go through a playtest of using hammer and stuff. That game is fucking awesome. Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be some banger shit, and it's not just because it's a new Monster Hunter game. It's the A team, the best, not the best team, just the money team on Capcom, doing Monster Hunter on the new Reach engine. That's the Reach for the Moon engine, not the RE engine. And they are... That was close. They are spending all their money and their time on their new engine that they're finally adjusted to. This is the first big Monster Hunter game on the Reach engine. The last one was on the Switch, and it was kind of them playing around with what they could get away with. But now that they have their like really strong technical artists working with this new engine that like removes a lot of limiters and technical debt, we're seeing a bunch of crazy shit happen. I still presume that this game is going to, one, come out 6 months later on PC than it will on PlayStation, and 2, be a fucking broken mess on launch and everyone's going to review bomb it like they always do. And then 3, there's going to be a shit ton of cosmetics in the games and purchasables that just won't fucking matter because you can mod it in on PC. Woo. People are going to complain about this game. It's probably going to be the best Monster Hunter game. There was a giant lineup for it at PAX, and there was about 12 booths or something, I don't know. And they had 30 minutes of playtime that you could get on Monster Hunter. I instead chose to go hang out on the photo op of the giant dinosaur and do a sick pose in my cool mask, not realizing that 10 minutes later that line would be closed for the whole day at 9 a.m. or no, at like 11 a.m. So I missed my chance to play. Instead, I got to watch. And that game has everything in it. That game has mounting from Monster Hunter 4. That game has clashes. That game has new movesets. That game has old movesets. That game has the slinger back from Worlds. That game has the mounted dog from Rise. It's stealing like a bazillion elements from other games. I'll be surprised if we don't get super moves from... Am I about to get fucking bombed? I'll be surprised if we don't get super moves from Monster Hunter Generation or something in it. We've already seen the new move lists and stuff. Focus mode isn't a new mechanic. Focus mode is from Monster Hunter Rise. It's just the funny camera, but they're taking that tech and putting that free game camera in the fucking new game. Monster Hunter Wilds is then putting every piece of tech from old Monster Hunter into the games. I will be surprised if we don't get super moves. I'll be surprised if we don't get dynamic light torches from Monster Hunter Tri. They've changed the guns a lot. The guns look pretty cool. The bow looks like the coolest fucking thing ever. Everything's got sick ass moves. Game's gonna fuck. Game's gonna fuck so hard. Man, yeah. I'll probably have to upgrade my computer, and I'll probably do it just for that game. I'll probably bug Joanna to see if she has a spare graphics card after upgrading hers for Final Fantasy or some shit. Anyway, I got to play the new Dead Rising, the remake. Capcom is once again reviving corpses and bringing back Dead Rising. Game's good. Game's Dead Rising. They fixed the controls. If you've played old Dead Rising, you'll remember that like dodge roll was on the thumbstick by pressing it in. That was a bad idea. They're instead just replacing the controls with good controls, like basically Monster Hunter controls. Item scrolling on the D-pad, aiming and shooting and stuff on the triggers, attacks on X and Y or A and B, whatever the fuck you think it is. Dodge roll on circle on the PlayStation style layout. You know, normal shit. Not dodge roll on the thumbstick being pressed in. What the fuck was that? Anyway. Game good. Game's probably going to be just fine. People will probably complain that they like took some things out because that game was kind of fucking tasteless because it was a mid-2000s zombie game from Japan, which means it was probably really, really racist and really, really sexist. Yeah, game good. I got to play Terry Bogard in Street Fighter. They made that character weird. They pulled every ability that character had from like his list of games and put it on the move list. And it's fucking weird because he doesn't play like a normal character. He doesn't even play like old Terry anymore. He plays like this weird homunculus Terry that is created by AI. But he's really fucking cool and he's gonna be amazing. And the character's great and his nose is big. Everyone's complaining about his fucking nose. What else did we do? I beat Miguel's ass at Crokinole. Crokinole is a game that is tiny curling. It is curling, but you flick it instead of throwing a big rock. And Miguel can't do it because he stinks. He's not white enough for tiny curling. So sorry, Miguel, you're bad at Crokinole, and I'm the best. And I remain the champion. Get good. With that, we can talk about trying to fucking find miniatures in packs. Me and Miguel ran around for like 2 hours straight trying to see if there were any Warhammer minis or anything we could buy from packs, but there was nothing. There was nothing. And we get to the mini section and it is packed up for the night. And we're just like, where the what is this? There's like an empty fucking square in the warehouse that is just gone. Like they got deleted from existence. Like they got Mandela affected out. Like they fell into the fucking back rooms. No idea what happened to the minis, but they're gone. They're gone forever. Goodbye. But that's fine because there's a bunch of cool card shit. There was an entire section of packs that was just tabletop role playing, like it was just D&D. And I think if I go to PAX again, I'm definitely gonna try and just join or run a D&D game there because it's probably a lot of fucking fun. It's probably really good. They have pre-written adventures that you can go through. You can probably like study up if you want to DM. You could probably sign up or something. I don't know. It was great. There was a bunch of tiny booths. The saddest booth award for video games at PAX goes to Farming Simulator. Farming Simulator just had one guy running a kiosk doing nothing. Because who the fuck is there for an already released game? I think it's already released? I have no fucking idea. It's just nobody's there for that shit. It's like cordoned off in a little section that's like completely deserted. There's cobwebs gathering. There's a guy who's paid to be there. He might be responsible for the port. And it's just dead. Best booth goes to Five Nights at Freddy's. Better than Capcom's cool photo op. Five Nights at Freddy's was hosting a in real life Mario Party style mini game. They had like an arena that was theirs that was like walled off with like fancy like real walls, and they had a bunch of people in practical effects suits looking like Freddy fucking Fazbear and shit, and they were like doing Mario Party mini games. They were doing like the Toad Flag mini game where he's like red flag, white flag, and you raise one, and the people have to copy them or they lose. And it was just like genuinely interesting party shit, and it was crazy. There was a bunch of other really good booths. Baldur's Gate had a cool photo op. Also, they just had like a bunch of really sick looking practical effects shit. They had like a nautiloid crashing into a giant building. That was cool as fuck. I got like a selfie. Me and Miguel got a selfie with the cast that mattered, which is Karlak, Lae'zel, and Asterion. Yeah, no, it was really good. Oh, and Shadowheart. I guess she kind of matters. Nobody else was there. There was no there was no Will. I guess they couldn't find a black guy. There was no Gale. I guess they couldn't find a boring white guy. So yeah. It was good though. There was a ton of other booths. There was a bunch of indie booths, and the indie booths were hit and miss, but like there were some really cool ones. There's one I'm gonna post it in chat. I got like a card from it, and I need to look it up. It looked really cool. It was a little indie horror game that was just that had some fucking big titty anime art that looked real nice. Sometimes the big titty anime art's really tasteless. This one kind of slapped. This one had a good aesthetic. I'm a hipster, and I'm a hipster when it comes to anime titties. And let me tell you, this is some good anime titties. It was like, it looked kind of like a really interesting indie Resident Evil first-person kind of game that was doing a lot of really cool twee horror things. It was very mascot horror looking. It was very like that kind of colorful horror. You know, kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, but less shitty. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good indie games. There's stuff to check out. There's stuff coming out. That was PAX. Me and Miguel dipped out in the evening, and we got pizza at Pagliacci's. We had peaches and prosciutto pizza. It was like a $40 pizza, so it was like, no, it was like a $50 pizza. It was so fucking good. Peaches and prosciutto is just good ham and pineapple. It is just taking the way too sweet citrus flavor of pineapple and replacing it with like a subtle, more sweet, mild flavor of peaches, and taking the way too gnarly taste of ham and replacing it with like the fatty, chewy, savory, delicious taste of prosciutto. Top that bitch off with a shit ton of arugula and with some balsamic. That was a good fucking pizza. And Pagliacci's has good crust. There was two places we got recommended for pizza. It was Rocco's and Pagliacci's, and I got these recommendations from a guy at the Dead Rising booth, which was fucking silly. I was just like, hey man, what's the good shit? And he was like, Rocco's and Pagliacci's. Me and Miguel looked them up, and it was like, one's a 20-minute walk and one's a 9-minute walk. So we went to Pagliacci's. Next year, we're going to Rocco's, Miguel. We're going to fucking Rocco's. Apparently that's the best one. Apparently that's the best pizza in Seattle, bar none. So that's what we're doing. I got to see my friend Vera. Vera is a friend I met online like 4 or 5 years ago on just playing like random video games and shit. And we ended up hanging out a bunch because they're just cool. And then they transit. I met them at PAX like 2 or 3 years ago, or I got to meet them in person 2 or 3 years ago for the first time, and then 2 years later now. Since then, they've transitioned, so I'm trying to meet up with her, and I don't even know who to look for anymore. I'm just sitting in the crowd, like I'm next to the big Cherokee statue. Come find me, and I'm just hanging out, doing fucking whatever, trying to look like a normal ass person, and they're just staring at people in a crowd at the crosswalk, like, "Are you? Are you? Are you? No? Are you?" And everyone's just looking at me like a fucking weirdo until one of them's like, and I'm like, and so we eventually, yeah, we got to hang out. I got to hang out with my friend Vera. She's really cool. She she didn't have a rough transition. Some people have a rough transition, but Vera was already kind of a femboy, so it wasn't that big of a transition. They didn't have to do a lot of work. Lucky them. Uh, some people are blessed. And so yeah, now they're a pretty girl. They're doing their thing, and literally the same person. I didn't get to hang out with them long because they're super fucking busy. They're doing a billion things right now. But yeah, it was just good to see them again. I'll probably see them next year at PAX again. And yeah, that was the PAX experience. Me and Miguel drove home at like 9ish. Miguel almost fell asleep on the road a couple times, so I started screaming and clapping. And then we turned on the lights, and Miguel was able to, in the car, we turned on like the overhead lights, and we were able to make it home just fine. That ride wasn't too bad. Yeah. Yeah, PAX rules. Go to PAX, y'all. Come with us next time. It's such a good time. I think we're going to try and go for the 3-day thing, or the whole weekend next PAX. Right, Miguel? Anyway, I guess it's up to Miguel. He's the one driving me. But yeah, that's my vlog update. This is a long one. Cheers, y'all.